how far you want to take this or how much effort you're looking to put into this or how serious you are and how long are you looking to be into this. Like these are a lot of questions that you could, if you haven't asked yourself these things, like good to know, right? Because if you know that you're committed, like, because you've even told me like you're looking to maybe do this, like it's basically a lifestyle thing. So I don't even see it as like doing something, but like you said, you want to like, you want to date and like do this for maybe for the next 10 years. And maybe that changes or whatever, but like that's from my understanding, right? But that can always change if you ever decide you meet someone, you want to get married or whatever you want to do. I mean, it's like things can change, right? But at this point, sounds like you're pretty dedicated. There's so many different ways that you can have a relationship and live your life in these things. Some people just want to be perpetually single and just like date a lot, right? Others might be looking to like, nope, I want a wife, I want to get married, I want to have kids like now or whatever their plan is, right? Some might say I want that in the next 2 years. Another guy might say I never want that, right? It's like, and there's no one wrong way, but just identifying that for yourself, because let's just say you want to date a lot and you want to meet a lot of people. Well, then the strategy that you're going to maybe have to do that is going to be different than a guy that's maybe not so serious about it. Like one guy, maybe it's good enough for him to just focus on his business, and then when he's out on his lunch break, he just like approaches like a couple girls, or whenever he sees a girl that he's interested in, he just goes and he talks to her, and he's not setting aside dedicated time to go and like really just like handle this as it like seriously, like where he's willing to dedicate a chunk of his time and maybe do this like consistently on a regular basis for a set like maybe years or whatever, right? Like, so it's good, the way that your strategy maybe for meeting people might look different dependent on how serious you are, right? And how much effort and attention and focus you actually want to put into this area of life, right? For me, I look at it like a sport. Like this is like something I love to do just for in itself. So like, and I dedicate solid amounts of time to this, right? And I'm looking at it differently than somebody that's like not taking this that seriously or not prioritizing this in their life, right? That being said, I mean, the results that you get and stuff are going to be dependent also on how much effort that you put into this area of your life too. And what I just said are some things that you can even just ask yourself someday if you've never done it, right? Like that's actually an exercise you can do, is like try to get clarity on exactly what it is you want and try to be detailed about what it is you want. And you can do that in all areas of your life. But if you're just to do that in like dating, it's like, what type of girl are you actually trying to get? What type of lifestyle, what type of results are you looking to get? And being as clear as you possibly can in detail, the better and the more likely you are to hit that target that you want, that you're looking to achieve, right? The more clarity and the more certain you are about what you want. So like these are exercises you can do at a later time or whatever, or never. But again, if you put the effort into it, the more you're going to get out of it, right? And these things are going to give you 1% chance or more of like maybe attaining that thing, right? It's like all these little 1%ers. So something like that, like reflecting on your why. Why do you want this? How much time are you willing to dedicate? Like what results? Blah blah blah. Right? These are the more clarity you can get, the better. What kind of friends do I want? What kind of person do I want to be? Blah blah blah. But we're focusing on, I guess, the technicalities right now. That's why they say there's an inner game, they say there's an outer game, right? The inner game, like game is just life, in my opinion, right? So like the inner game, when it comes to women and life in general, it's like, that's like having good self-esteem or reading books or like learning more about the world and educating yourself and, looking into like belief systems and what are your beliefs and basically analyzing yourself, of like getting a better idea of like who you are, what you want, more clarity on, the kind of person you want to be and what you're working towards, and your values and your morals and your belief systems, like all of these things, right? Like the more you focus on these things, again, these are all just going to give you more clarity and a better percent chance of attaining what you want, right? That's like the inner game side. But then the outer game side, I mean, it's like, this is a skill like anything else. So basically it doesn't matter. That stuff, like the inner game stuff, is like, it's a never ending process, right? So it's not like you're ever going to be complete. It's just something that you just incorporate into your life. Do you do a direct opener or do you do an indirect opener? Like in this interaction, you use the direct opener. You just went right up, you complimented her and basically stated your intent and your idea about like how you feel about her right off the bat. So, and that's not like, it's not like bad or good, but it's just like, that's more of a direct opener, right? You could do an indirect opener, like, right, and that might be something that's maybe more innocuous, and you just start, you say something like an opinion, or you just start talking and make an observation, and you just keep, and then you're just kind of conveying your personality is the idea there. But then at some point you want to move it forward, and you want to make your intent known, or make it man to woman, as they say, or like maybe tease or flirt, like trying to incorporate these things at some point if you're actually interested in them. That would be another way to approach it, right? You can ask questions, you can make statements and cold reads, and I think you did a bit of cold reading in that interaction. All these things just help you convey your personality. The more that you talk, the more that you're conveying your personality, the more she gets to experience you and get an idea of who you are, right? And then and the quicker that you can do that, some would say that is game in a nutshell. Have intimate experiences maybe quicker than the average person, right? Because you understand these things. Why am I doing this thing? What is it that I'm trying to achieve through this? Maybe I'm not trying to achieve anything, but then at least I have an understanding that's what my purpose is right now, is just maybe I'm just self-amusing. That's what I'm trying to achieve. Self-amusement, expressing myself, getting unstifled. Maybe that's just what I'm doing in this moment. And then from there, I'm going to be like, now it's like approach, start talking to people. Okay, cool. Now it's like, okay, move things forward. What types of things can I do within the interaction to like show my intent? Am I going to do it subtly, or am I going to do it overtly, right? So then these are skills that you can develop for yourself as well, right? Being present and responding to the girl too in the moment. Like that's something I've noticed in myself when I've recorded myself, is like just sometimes I can just start talking, but I'm not real. I've noticed the girl, maybe when I listen back to it, she asked a question and maybe I didn't even address the question because I'm like too much thinking about like what I'm doing and like, oh, I got to keep talking right now, or like, but actually try to ground yourself, they call it, and then like be present in the interaction and try to actually respond, and even just trying to pick up on the subtle facial cues and the types of body language, or these they call it the subcommunication, right? The tonality of voice, these other ways that we communicate. Even just being able to just take a moment and be present and look at the girls in the eyes and kind of just pick up on these things. Even that's like something of value that you can take from an interaction, even if you don't end up ultimately hooking up with the girl, which is might be your goal, right? Is to like meet people and have romantic experiences with people that are also looking to enjoy that experience with you as well, right? I'm trying to be like politically correct, but but you know what I mean. You're going out, you're going to be talking to a lot of people. You're not going to hook up with everybody you talk to. So even when every interaction, it can still be a valuable thing where it gives you an opportunity to, again, this is what calibration is, right? The more that you talk to people, the better you get a sense of the subcommunication, and you're able to pick up on these subtle communication skills in facial expressions, the tone of voice, and these things. Over time, the more that you talk to people, the better you get at that, and that's acquired through actual experience. You can't just learn about that in a book. That's something you need to go out into the field and do to acquire that skill set, right? So even when maybe you're not going to sleep with this person, you can still use it as an opportunity then to practice expressing yourself, stating your opinions, continuing to talk, being present, like I was just saying, like being present in that interaction. Try to remind yourself and just like ground yourself and like really try to like respond and listen and try to understand where that person's coming from and what their experience is and how are they receiving you in that interaction, which is like a higher level thing. You don't necessarily care how they're responding, in the sense that like, I'm not going to try to change myself for somebody. I'm going to go up and I'm going to express myself authentically, especially when it comes to like romance and like trying to meet somebody in that way. I'm going to go up and express myself authentically, state my opinions, maybe try to unstifle myself, self-amuse. Maybe I can come from a frame of like giving value. So I'm trying to make her laugh. Maybe I'm trying to be funny. I'm practicing being funny. I'm practicing just my conversation skills and these kinds of things. But if she doesn't like it, I can be aware that like, oh, she's maybe not receiving this energy. Maybe I can try something else if I want. But I can also say, you know what, maybe we're just not a good match. And I'm like, have a good one. It was nice to meet you. And I can exit that set. And then I can just move on to the next one. And that's also a skill too, is to not be affected by the last interaction and then go into the next one with like a clean slate, just erase it from your mind and then move into the next set and don't bring any baggage into the next set from the last one that you were just in, and start anew and be like, all right, let's see if I connect with this person, right? So it's like you're not like trying to people please, but you're also aware of where the other person's coming from. But it's like that's something that you can pick up maybe later on in your journey too. It's all about baby steps, right? The person that's just starting out, their thing is just to approach. Their thing is just to get over approach anxiety and just normalize that aspect of it and just do that. Then after they feel comfortable enough doing that, now it's like, okay, now let's try to make it man to woman. Let's try to move it forward. Let's go for some sort of a close or something like this, right? We can keep adding to it. In the beginning, your thing might just be like, it's so scary just to even go and approach a stranger, especially like a girl or someone that you're romantically interested in, that like just going up and saying hello could be pushing you to such a degree where you're not even you're not even able to consider that she's actually into you or that she's not into you. You're not even able to focus on that because you're so just concerned with or just getting over the fear of approaching. When you've gotten past that stage, and maybe some people that comes like, maybe they've already got a ton of practice with that, right? Maybe that's something that comes easier for them because of their upbringing or their genetics, whatever. But for whatever reason, some people, certain aspects are going to come easier for others. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's not because they were just born that way. I don't believe it's because they had maybe some advantage that you're not aware of, right? Like their family, maybe they grew up in a family that had parties all the time, and they were always around people and socializing and going to parties. And like, if that's the case for you, then it's going to be easier for you to go and talk to strangers, probably, just to say, for example. Whereas some people, they have to get over that first off. So it's like, if you are a person where it's like I was that person, where that was like, it was difficult just to make the cold approaches and go talk to people that are strangers. Once you get past that part, then maybe when that doesn't affect you so much emotionally, you're then able to be like, okay, now you can actually give some thought to what you're doing and be like, oh, okay, now I'll move it forward. Now I'll try to take this next step, right? So it's like progressively, you get better progressively that way. Just keep adding things to it, right? You might not be that calibrated. You might not be able to pick up on those social cues, those subtle signs maybe, or even the words that she said or whatever, where maybe she's actually interested. She's got big eyes. Her pupils are big. She's asking you questions. She's maybe falling into your frame and going along with the things that you're saying. Like, these are all positive signs, right? But the guy doesn't pick up on it, so he's just like, all right, well, have a nice day. And maybe he even sees it as a negative interaction. And again, then that comes back to the inner game side of things, where you need to start like feeding your mind good belief systems and reading books and educating yourself. And like, again, the more like taking proactive control over how you think and how you view the world, because there's something called self-fulfilling prophecies, and also what you believe about the world, you'll find proof to back that up. So a lot of this also starts in the mind, where just changing your belief systems and looking at the world in a different way and questioning what you believe in these kinds of things, because that all you'll find proof to back that shit up too, right? And I don't like, I look at it like, don't make excuses. Get out there, focus on the work, focus on the actions that I can take to make something happen. I'm not thinking like, oh, it's not possible for me because of my genetics or this or that or the other thing. I'm like, no, what can I control? What can I do, right? I'm not saying, oh, I can't do it because of my looks or whatever. It's like, dude, I can walk up and I can go talk to that girl. That's all I need to do. That's what this is required of me. And then to change my belief systems and not to have negative belief systems that are going to hold me back, or to the point where I'm not even willing to try. If you don't even believe that you can improve in this area, you're not even going to try. So right there, just by saying, you know what, I can improve in this area. That's one example of changing your belief, right? Just by changing that belief to, I can potentially improve in this area and get the result that I want. Now you're willing to try. Now you might even start seeing proof externally in the objective world that this is true. And then it's going to embolden you. You're going to get a little bit more confident, right? So a lot of this shit comes down to belief systems, and that's why the inner game is also equally important as getting out there and taking the physical action, which is also equally important. But then you get down to strategies and like just all the areas that you can affect, that you can take control over, and that can increase your odds. There's so much that you can do. And even this, like what we're saying, like you were saying, a guy walks up, he says, have a nice day. He doesn't even see that the girl's actually interested in him. Whereas the other guy, he maybe pushes for it and goes for the close too early, but at least you went for the close. I'd rather be that guy that still goes for the close, even if if it's too early, at least you took it to its full conclusion. So I would say that's better to do than to walk away. And they call it not taking a man's rejection, right? Take a man's rejection, walk up, make your intent known. If nothing else, if you're not going to be subtle or whatever, at least make your intent known and go for the close. At least if you've done that, you've taken it from open all the way to the end. You didn't leave anything out to like what if. That's the worst, is if you say to yourself, what if? At least if you went in there and you went for the close, even if it's a phone number, and you took the rejection, which is like, no, I have a boyfriend, no, I'm not interested. At least you found out. And I think that's better than not trying at all. Or to walk away and not realize that the girl's actually into you, right? And then that's the thing too, is a lot of girls, if you do it enough times, eventually you're going to find a girl. Even if you did it too quick or whatever, you're going to find someone eventually that's going to be down, that's going to give you the number or whatever. That's just math. That's just looking at it mathematically. If I don't even believe that that's possible, I'm not even going to try. Like if I'm in my mind, I'm like, it could never happen. That's stupid. Girls only like guys that are fucking 6 foot tall and good looking and have money, and that's it. And nobody else is getting laid. Then like, I'm not even going to try. But if I all of a sudden just from changing a belief, which you can do in an instant, it is that easy, but then it's like to actually believe it and internalize it, that maybe will take time. But you can literally just decide to be like, you know what? No, I believe I can just go outside and I can start talking to girls, and I believe that I can improve my social skills, and that even if I'm maybe not social standards, to social conditioning's standards, to the mainstream idea about what is good looking, even though I'm not that, I don't add up to the social narrative, which I don't have to live by those rules, but let's just say I don't live up to that. It's like, I still believe that I can get results because it's a skill set, and I can go up and just keep talking to people, and I can learn calibration and learn all these things, and I can make something happen, even in the circumstances that I'm in. I just choose to believe that. All of a sudden I'm going to take action, and if I take enough action, even if I didn't have all the strategies, which there's tons of different, like, again, you can educate yourself, you can take on different strategies, like where you actually frame it in your mind, where it's like, okay, I'm going to approach, I'm going to start with value, and I'm just going to self-amuse, and I'm going to start with that and like expressing myself and just keep talking. Then I'm going to move into like comfort, where I start asking questions, or I wait for them to even start asking questions, and when they start asking me questions, then I'm going to start maybe asking them questions and showing a little bit of romantic interest. I'm going to tease them. I'm going to make it man to woman. Then I'm going to lead it and try to baby step it and have somewhere that maybe I can take them. Maybe I try to pull them to my place or whatever in that moment. Maybe I just choose to try to do that. Boom. That's a strategy. That's a structure right there. And there's many different ways that you could look at that, right? But it's like just by doing that, all of a sudden now I have a process. Now I have something that I can follow, and I just go out. And I do this for long enough. Eventually, you just choose to believe that eventually I'm going to make something happen. That's an example of the power of the inner game, right? The inner game is all just about your beliefs and the way that you view the world, and how you choose to live life, your character, your morals, your values. All of these things you can identify and choose what those are going to be for you. And that's going to dictate the actions that you take. So that inner game is everything starts in the mind. But then once you've figured that shit out, maybe to the point where you're actually like, okay, now I'm going to go out and I'm going to start approaching chicks, you can learn what it's actually going to take. You can look at this like an athlete, and like looking at it like I need to get in a certain amount of hours in a day, making a schedule for myself, and how serious you decide to take it and how much effort you're willing to put into it is exactly maybe how much you're going to get out of it. Usually it's very unbalanced. You usually have to put in a shit ton of effort for minimal amounts of return on that investment. That's how it happens in the beginning, but that's what it takes. That's how it is for everything. We're going out in the daytime and hanging out, and like it still should be fun. The process should be fun in itself. The results will come, that's a way to look at it. But you're still very serious in trying to get the results and learning and being willing to change your approach till you get the result. But you're also like appreciative that you get to live every single day, and that you actually get to go out and even do this is a gift in itself. So then you start just appreciating just talking to the girl. And then you appreciate just trying to move it forward and focusing on just trying to make it happen. But you understand that at any moment, like, you're never guaranteed anything. The fact that you even get to try, again, these are just ways that you might just incorporate gratitude into your life, incorporating appreciation, incorporating the magnificence of just the fact that you're even alive, like finding the joy in life every single day. And these are things that you can learn through like spirituality, different spiritual texts. Again, this is why reading and taking control of the influences that are coming into your life, not just letting yourself be surrounded by whatever and you take no control over it. It's like, no, be proactive about what you're listening to. What are the influences in your life? Are the friends that you have, the people that you keep around you, like all of these things are within your control. That's no longer identifying as a victim and making excuses. You only focus on solutions, and you're only focusing on what can you control? What can I do? I'm not looking at what can't I do. I'm looking at what do I have available to me. And then again, that's when you're incorporating gratitude and being like, oh, I do have some advantages here. I'm not just at a disadvantage here. I also have advantages. So taking stock of those things, taking stock of the things that you do have available to you. Yes, you are likely to get results if given you put in enough time, given you put in enough effort, given you have, you're always experimenting and trying new things and keep changing your strategy until you get the results that you're looking to get. That also means like masterminding with people and talking to people. Like all these things are extra things that you can do that are going to help you to potentially get those results, right? But the thing is that but there's no guarantees that you're going to get to that point where you even get to have that experience. So then can you accept that? Understand that yes, you are likely to get the result if you're doing everything in your power until you get that result, whatever that's required. And I have a ton of ideas and like my own experiences and literature and studies that will tell you that what it takes to achieve something, given that you're granted that time in these things, then yes, you can get the result, but can you be satisfied with just the action itself? That's why they say the journey is to be enjoyed. The journey is all you're guaranteed. Today, the fact that you're alive today and that you get to take one action towards your goal today, if you choose to, that's all that you're really entitled to. And then when the result comes, be grateful for it and give yourself credit for the work and the effort that you had to do to achieve that thing, that you got to have the privilege to even have that experience, right? Like this is just a practice, like a way to practice gratitude, right? On your journey, because you are going to get stressed out. It is going to feel like maybe you can't, sometimes you're not going to feel like it is possible maybe. But you got to keep pushing forward and keep moving towards the goal regardless, because everybody feels that way. But trust, it's like having that faith that no, if I'm taking the right actions, eventually the result will come. You just believe that. And then it does come eventually. And then that gives you more confidence now, because you're like, oh shit, this does work. Oh yes, I can get a result here. Focus on those positive things that you did accomplish, that you're proud of, no matter how small you may think it is, because it's not about comparing yourself to somebody else. It's about, did you accomplish something that you've never accomplished before? Did you do something that you've never done before? Like when I first talked to a girl that was just more attractive than I've ever talked to before, from my personal experience and my standards, I'm giving myself credit for that. I'm like, it's not about did I ever end up having a romantic experience with this girl? It's I just talked to a girl that's hotter than any girl I've ever talked to before, and I pushed myself to do that, and you just reached a new level for yourself. Now we're getting into the plateaus and the feeling like you're stagnant. It's like you need to just be pushing yourself, finding whatever that next level for you is, and that's going to be different for everyone, right? Because we're all on our own journey. When you're looking at the gym example and you're equating that to the dating realm as well, it's like there's a lot of parallels, right, to a lot of these activities. That's why you can draw a lot of inspiration and knowledge and a vast amount of wisdom from like watching professional athletes or getting into the mind of high achievers, and why that's so valuable to like read books from different people in philosophy or history, and you're just getting in the mind of this person and like his mentality, and you can take on those same kinds of mentalities and apply them to all aspects of life, right? And even something within the dating realm, right? You can like take on that competitive mindset or that professionalism or that discipline, whatever. What you're saying with the gym and comparing ourselves to one another, if you can get inspiration from others, that's a different thing. But then to compare and say, oh, look at me compared to them, I suck. It's like, dude, first of all, when you understand that if you want to get big muscles, then you can just take different actions than what you're doing now and work to achieve that outcome. When you look at somebody else that's achieved something of an outcome that you think is cool and that you would like to achieve, don't look at that guy and go, I suck because that guy is successful, that therefore I suck. You look at that and go, oh, look at what can be accomplished. If I do what that guy does, I can have similar results to that guy. I can have similar results to that guy. If I'm eating the right foods, if I'm working out on a regular basis, maybe this guy's on steroids. Maybe that means you also have to take steroids. Who knows, right? But it's like if there's a process and there's steps to achieving anything that you see anybody else achieve in life. It's not magic. It all takes effort. It all takes work. It all takes dedicated practice, focused attention into that area. And the more that you do that, the more focused attention and effort you put into a particular area of life, you're going to have varied amounts of degrees of success in that area. It's no different than it is for anybody else. Now the thing is, when you look at someone like a music industry or something, some of these people are put on, they still had to cultivate some sort of a skill, but then they get backed up by like huge companies, right? That basically do all the marketing and push them to be maybe as famous as they are. But barring that, most any skill set, it just takes time and effort over and so when you look at somebody that's maybe muscular or whatever, you got to be like, oh, I give that guy props because he's achieved what he achieved, because he must have worked hard to achieve what he achieved. It did not come easy for this person. Nothing comes easy for anybody. So instead of me looking at someone and being like, oh, they're better than me, it's like, no, what can I do to get that similar result? It's like, so, and if you're not willing to do the things that is required of you to attain that result, don't be the kind of guy that's going to be like talking shit on other people. Be like, oh, that guy's like more disciplined. He's being more consistent in his behaviors. He's focusing more time on this area. Like, no excuses. That's a better mindset to come from, is when you compare yourself to somebody else, it gives you permission to stay the same. And then you don't even have to try. And then you can blame some external factor as to why you don't have that result. You can do it, but what is required of you is to actually put in a concerted effort. And you actually have to do certain things that maybe is difficult to do, which is like being consistent, maybe not eating certain foods, or maybe eating certain foods if you want to gain muscle. Or if it's the dating world, again, depending on how serious you are, let's see what I can accomplish. And then when you look at somebody else, it's like, oh, that's cool. Look at what this person has done. Maybe if I put in the same amount of time and I took the same amount of effort and I dedicated myself to this endeavor, who knows what I could do? What could I accomplish? And then that means your life could actually be really amazing, but it's not like, my life isn't going to look like Leonardo DiCaprio's, but it could be really fucking cool and fulfilling for whatever my life turns out to be. And who knows what that could be, right? Like, there's always another level. I could be more disciplined. I could be eating better foods. I could be refraining and saving money and doing better in my business and all these things. Those things will be good and benefit me, but it's also going to help me in the dating realm as well. Like, the more money that you have, the better you can travel and you can buy nicer clothes and all these things. And it's like, no, I never make excuses. I would never say I need to wear a certain outfit to get a girl. I would just say, like, yeah, it might help to be more fashionable. It might give me a little bit of an edge if I if I groom myself, like, of course, like the basic essentials, like groom yourself, don't smell, general hygiene. That's like 80. That's like most of all your results right there. I mean, at the end of the day, though, to get better at this skill set, which is going and talking to girls and learning calibration and having the balls to move it forward and take risks and get rejected, you got to go out, get rejected. That you're never going to stop that. You got to go out and talk to girls. Like, at the end of the day, that's what this is required. None of these peripheral things of getting jacked and getting getting good fashion and all this kind of stuff. All these things are helpful for yourself and maybe will give you a little bit of an edge, but that's not the thing that gets you better at talking to girls. It's like you actually have to go out and talk to girls. You're not going to get away with not being rejected, not having to deal with challenging situations, not having to not having to deal with confrontations. Like, you have to learn to handle these things by putting yourself in those situations time and time again, and failing and feeling embarrassed and feeling rejected and feeling this way and feeling that way. That's what this is. Everyone's experience is going to be different, and people are at different levels. But like for me, it's hard, like, to get rejected and to go up and approach people. Like, it's been difficult, but I just challenged myself to face that fear and face that challenge time and time again. And then you just keep there's always another level. There's never a finish line. So even when it comes to the inner game, there's never an ending for the outer game. There's always another level. There's always, you could always be doing something more to challenge yourself more. And the challenges are going to keep progressing as you keep pushing yourself, right? But again, that's why it's like, what are your goals? Do you want to just go and be in lots of relationships, or do you want to find a wife someday? Like, eventually you might just decide, yeah, I want to find a wife or whatever. Or at this point, maybe it is about, like, just focusing a lot of time in this area for certain results, right? But it depends how serious you are about this, right? So where I'm coming from is like a serious standpoint, where you're like, I'm willing to dedicate years of my life, possibly. I'm willing to dedicate hours of my time, perhaps on a regular basis, whatever that is, right? But you also have to prioritize. Like, finances are number one. That you can't even live without money, but you shouldn't be thinking the money's going to get me the girl. You still have to go out and approach girls, right? So I would say you still want to make sure that's incorporated in your life until maybe you can free up more time and dedicate more time to it. But you also have to prioritize. And again, it comes down to how serious you are about life, how serious you are about your results. I mean, because all these areas, you can totally neglect them, and your results are going to be dependent again on how far you're willing to take this. What actions are you willing to take? Am I willing to look at my time and look at my schedule and schedule my days and fucking manage my time and like all these things. The more optimized you can be in all these areas, and there's a ton of areas that you can continue to optimize, the more results you're going to get, the better results you're going to get. That's how it works. It's not magic. It's fucking hard though, because it takes dedication and hard work. You don't just get to go out and just get girls, or anything. It's like, you got to go out and actually talk to girls. You got to go out and dedicate time to this and take rejections. And the more action you take, the more calibration you build, the more you're able to read the sub-communication in these things. That is the skill. When you are going out, that's when you build the skill. You don't build the skill by learning and reading about it. You don't get to get around not going out and putting in the time and making the effort and getting and having the failures. That never ends. It's like, you look at a Kobe Bryant at the highest level in the NBA, misses the shot, loses the game. That never stops happening. So then there's like learning about how to control your own emotions and learning how to control your own state and not looking for validation from the external. That's where these things that you said about worrying about the opinions of others, worrying about, or when the girl senses, because you haven't gotten laid, that you are coming across as needy and desperate and needing it to work, that's unattractive. But that's where gratitude comes into play, where you can keep yourself in an abundant state even when you don't have abundance objectively with women, let's say, because you could still be in an abundant state where it's like you just appreciate just talking to the girl. You're free from the outcome, where you're not even thinking about the end result. You're just appreciating the fact that you even get to go out today and even talk to the girl. But then you're also being proactive about moving it forward and going for the close. And you're fucking serious about your results. And I don't give a shit if I look desperate or needy. I'm going to do the thing anyways, because that's how you learn. And then over time, you actually do become in an abundant state, even maybe when you're not sleeping with lots of girls. Why? Because you have the ability to go up and approach any girl that you want under any circumstance, even though the result's not guaranteed. You just have the ability to do that. And when you have that ability, now that's when results are more likely to happen, because you're taking opportunities more frequently. And the more frequently you can take those opportunities, the more likely you are to get the result. On top of that, You actually have like real strategies and ways of thinking about the interaction and how to move it forward in these kinds of things. That's where, the outer game comes into play of like, do I do a direct opener or do I do an indirect opener? The calibration and these things come with experience that you can't avoid. So, but that's going to come with the approaches. So again, you're not like, oh, I suck because I didn't sleep with this girl. You're like, I'm fucking a boss because I just ran around for an entire night for like 4 hours and just fucking hammered and kept approaching girls. And I didn't stop. And that takes fucking courage and character. And you're going to develop a lot of hardcore characteristics that are going to help you to achieve in all areas of your life if you can do that. But that's not easy, right? And so you're just, wherever you're at, you're realistic about wherever you're at. But that's, things that you can build towards. But you're never complete. And at the highest levels, the challenges never go away; they just change. So you're always going to feel intimidated. You're always going to feel like, maybe I don't have the answers and shit. But then you're focusing on like self-trust and making the decision and being a leader, even though you don't know if it's the right answer. But you're going to make a decision anyways. You're learning how to calibrate. You're learning how to be like free flowing and just maybe improving things in the moment. There's a ton of shit that you can work on, though, is my point. There's an outer game and there's an inner game, right? But they're both equally important, like we're saying. And back to mindsets, always be willing to walk away. Never need it to work. Be willing to experiment. Be willing to be free-flowing and just say whatever you want. Like, these are just some ideas of, like, coming from the inner game side. If I'm that, and then what does that convey? When you actually let go, now you're conveying abundance, and then the girl's like, oh, shit, now she's actually intrigued. Because now you're conveying traits that maybe somebody that is in abundance would have. And it comes from taking on that mindset of freedom from outcome, willingness to walk away, never needing it to work, being willing to say the joke that you want to say, talk about the subjects. If you're into video games, you talk about video games. And then now you're actually assessing that girl and you're like, oh, you don't like video games? That's a red flag. That's a red flag for me. Two more, and I'm out of here. You're willing to say something like that. Whereas the guy that needs it to work is going to be like, "Oh, you don't like video games? Oh, that's fine. I know video games are stupid." And now he's qualifying to the girl. That's the inner game side again, where it's like coming to the point where you're unapologetic about what you want, understanding what you want. Being like, I make no apologies for my wants and desires as a man. Being willing to state your opinions and not be worried if they agree with you or not. Being willing to be disliked. Not even that you're trying to be disliked, but it's going to happen if you're not trying to please everybody and if you're willing to just express yourself the way that you want and say what you want to say in these kinds of things. Like, these are practices. These are other things that you can practice. Again, there's never a finish line. But there's a ton of shit that you can work on, that you can affect, that is likely to get you the result. It's like people are too quick to say that they can't do something and then blame some external factor when they're not even doing like a portion, a fraction of the things that could potentially get them a result. And it's all based on just the way that they carry themselves, the way they believe, in the actions that they take on a daily basis. Are you doing a direct opener? Are we doing an indirect opener? Are we asking questions? Are we making statements, right? That's something we're just understanding different ways of communicating. Cold reads, which is kind of falls under like statements. When you ask a question, it's sort of like a taking. When you're just giving, where you're making statements and you're cold reading in these things, that's more so, I would say, you're giving now. I would look at that as like, I'm giving to the interactions. Questions can be like dependent on like as well the context and these kinds of things. Like sometimes you could say it's giving to asking a question, but like that's a thing. Like, where is it coming from? Like, is it coming from like, I need this to work? Where it's like, oh, ask another question, keep the conversation going? Or is it like, am I asking a question because I'm genuinely intrigued about this person? Or even if I'm just trying to mind fuck myself, where it's like, really all I want to do is just fuck this girl. But it's like, okay, it's like, I need to view this person as a human being too. Like, that's the problem, right? It's like, they actually have wants and desires and needs too, and these things. So it's like, trying to actually see, like, how do I get along with this person? Like, hey, what do you like to do with your spare time? Like, you're coming from a place where you're kind of assessing her now. They call it coming from the buyer frame or coming from the seller frame. It's like, yeah, this is a nice TV, but like, what does it do? I'm not sold on it yet, right? So you might be coming from that frame of mind, rather than the other way would be like, oh, keep talking to me. What? Ask another question. Ask another question. Right? Where that's kind of coming from like a needy, desperate place, right? Which is why where it's better to come from like an abundant place, a place where you're like, again, always willing to walk away, never needing it to work. And even just understanding there's like an infinite amount of hot girls out there, and that I'll find another one. Like whatever you got to do to like come to that abundant state of mind, even though maybe you're not in abundance with women, is like that you're gonna just convey better sub communication, things that you're not even consciously aware of. The more you can internalize these kinds of beliefs. When you talk about body language and these things, I would say even like I wouldn't even consciously focus on body language necessarily, although I did buy a book on body language in the beginning, and I have audiobooks on it, and I think it's definitely something that you can learn about and you can consciously be aware of body language. If anything, it gives me more of an idea of how that person's feeling, right? Like like today, if someone starts like kind of rubbing their neck, like that's sort of a self-soothing type of body language, right? So when you can pick up on these things, you can maybe try to then calibrate or mitigate whatever's going on with that person. Like, oh, maybe they're crossing their arms. Are they just cold, or are they kind of like in a defensive posture? Or are they giving themselves a self hug, which would be like a soothing type of body language? They're soothing themselves. So maybe they feel uncomfortable. Are they turning away from me, trying to walk away? Or are they fully squared up with me and giving me their attention? That's an indicator that they're into me, right? So this is where the study side of things comes into play, and why learning about human nature and psychology and philosophy and maybe even body language and these kinds of things, this is going to give you an edge in your development, right? And if you're not doing these things, it's like, again, are you really that serious about it? Because depending how serious you are, even just as in a life thing, just reading is good for you. And it's going to help you in all aspects of your life, but especially when it comes to dating and these kinds of things. Like if you're serious about this shit, if you want to get the best results that you're capable of getting, you're reading books and you're educating yourself about in science and human nature and evolutionary psychology and all aspects of life, because it's just good for you, but it's also going to give you a little bit of an edge when you're out there in the field. But ultimately, you got to get out there in the field. That's number one. All that other shit's just a supplementary thing. If you didn't have enough time to do all that other shit, which there's always time, you can get audiobooks and these things, make sure you're getting out there and you're talking to chicks, because that's number one. That's how you develop this skill, right? But it's like, so again, like body language, I think also that a lot of that stuff on your end is going to take care of itself. The more that you keep getting out there, the more maybe you're being more comfortable in your behaviors and what it is that you're doing, right? Like if I feel any kind of guilt about talking to girls and that I'm out there to maybe have like a romantic fling with somebody in the night, like if at all there's a part of me that feels like that's wrong, that's going to come across in my sub communication. I'm not even going to be consciously aware of it, and it's going to put people off. Maybe it's going to put them off a little. So you need to be 100% comfortable and unapologetic about what you're doing here. The body language thing will maybe fix itself at some point, right? Because you can even convey maybe insecure body language, but if you're not actually insecure, then it doesn't matter, right? Like if I'm trying to cover up the fact that I'm not confident, but I'm using confident body language, people can tell. Or even the people that can't. I mean, the point is that like I would rather actually be internally confident and secure within myself than try to convey some facade that I'm the opposite. I would rather actually be confident but have insecure body language, right? And at that point, it's not. Can you say that it's insecure body language at that point? I would say no. So and this is the thing, is that instead of me, for example, I'm not going to go overthink of approach, and this is the outer game right now. It's like I'm not going to go up and overthink my approach. I'm just going to go up. When I'm in the field, it's not a time to analyze what I'm doing. It's like it's about just going up and making the attempt, and then maybe having it in the back of my mind where like, again, there's different ways you could approach this too. This is why there's like different strategies. There's different ways that you could structure your night. But this is just one way that you can make an approach, right? But in another way, the way you might structure your night is that you are actually consciously thinking about exactly what it is that you're doing. And you might do that for a portion of the night. And then you might then transition into another portion of the night where you're not overthinking it and you're just taking action and you're not even considering what you're doing, right? So there's different ways that you can structure the night. You don't need to only do things one way. You can take on all different kinds of ways of basically a routine that you might have for yourself when you're going out in a session, right? And those both can be beneficial in different ways. In one way, you might just go up and not even overthink the approach, just say whatever it is that you want to say. But then you have in the back of your mind like a structure where you're like, okay, move it forward. Go for the open, go for a close. That's my only criteria for success. Did I go for the open? Did I move it forward in some way where maybe I made a statement of intent? Maybe I tease the girl. Then I go for some sort of a close, whether it's a phone number, whether it's suggest the Insta date. Maybe it's even try to pull to a bathroom and make something happen right then and there. Because again, the limits that you have for yourself in your own mind is what is going to limit you in reality. If you don't even believe that it's possible for you to have a threesome or have an orgy or pull some chick to the bathroom and you guys could have a good time there, then it's not going to happen. But if you believe that it can happen, that's the first step to it happening. And it can happen. Anything can happen. And that's the mindset that you take on. So don't limit yourself. Instead of thinking, oh, I'll just go for the phone number, think maybe I'll go for the Insta date. Instead of the Insta date, maybe you think maybe I'll just see if she'll come over into this alleyway and we can have a good time right then and there. And yes, that's maybe vulgar and not necessarily something that you can expect to happen all the time. But I mean, it could happen. And if you and another adult, two consenting adults, are willing to go do that, then there's nothing wrong with that. But again, that's where then that comes back to the inner game where it's like, what do you believe? Do you believe there's something wrong with that? And maybe you do believe there's something wrong with that, and that's okay. Because at the end of the day, it's not about somebody else's standard. It's about what is your standard of life? What is your beliefs about the world? What do you believe is right and wrong? Are you letting somebody else dictate to you what is right and wrong? Or am I coming to those conclusions and thinking for myself and deciding for myself how I'm going to live my life and what I believe to be acceptable and unacceptable? And if I believe that going into a back alley and having a good time with a lady that maybe wants to have that same sort of an experience with me as two consenting adults, I don't see anything wrong with that. So I need to be unapologetic about that. But again, now we're basically my point here though is that when you're doing an approach, instead of overthinking it, all you have in your mind is okay, go for an open, go for a close, keep it simple, and just do the best you can in that attempt and for the duration of that night. And then later, if you want, again, depending how serious you want to take this, later you might then think about what did I do well? What could I have done better? What would I like to do next time to try to improve on this night? But you're not thinking about this when you're in the field. Instead of me overthinking it when I'm going up to approach and I'm like, oh, but I'm not going to be confident, or my mind in my experience, and I think this is with everybody to some other degree, or we're all human, right? So you have to assume that a lot of us are going to experience a lot of the same things no matter what we're doing, right? So then that's when you look up to people or you get inspiration, understand that they're going through the same challenges that you're going through, and it's no different. Everybody's got challenges. There's levels to everything. Like maybe my anxiety doesn't spike when I put myself in one situation like it does for another guy. But if I'm always challenging myself and I'm looking to push myself to whatever my limit is, and that might look different from one guy to the next, I'm still going to be challenged in the same way as that beginner that maybe for them is just doing the approach. For me, it might be I'm talking to a celebrity in Los Angeles, right? But that's where my challenge is at. And I still had to work my way to get there. In the highest levels, I mean, there's an example, there's a blueprint you've seen where maybe the mystery method, where like that guy took it, where he wrote books and he's started dating courses and these things. Like there's a level that you can take this to where you see other guys and maybe they go to Los Angeles, so they're going to these upper echelon type places or clubs, and they're putting themselves in very much more high pressure situations, right? But the more that you subject you don't shy away from that shit. It's like if that's what you want to do, you can do that. There's no guarantees that you can fuck a celebrity, but there's no guarantees that anything for you, whether it's with money, women, whatever it is, nothing is guaranteed in life. But if you were to go to those places and actually find celebrities and get around them and talk to them, you have a chance of potentially maybe having an experience or meeting that person or becoming a friend with that person or a business partner or whatever. The one thing that you can do is that you can try, and it very well could happen. And it all depends on the amount of effort and time and investment and how much you're willing to do this. If you're not putting in the work, if you're not putting in the practice, you're not likely to get that result. But if you are putting in the practice and you are putting in the work, like they say, the harder you work, the luckier you might seem to get. It's like you're more likely to get that result with that celebrity, perhaps, right? It's like because you're getting those at bats, you're getting those reps in, you're putting in the effort and getting in those reps at the most basic level. It's like you got to get out there and you got to be getting those reps in. But then there's all this other stuff that you can focus on too that we've talked about that are going to likely increase your results there as well. Depending how serious you are, like you need to be getting out there and incorporating this into your life on a regular basis. And if that means that you only get a half an hour a day, then that's all you get, because I believe that you need to prioritize your finances and there's other areas like your health and nutrition, these things like these are, you would say these are more important. What kind of results do you want to get out of this? And then like what maybe is required of you to do that. Say you want to get a one night stand or something like this. It's like, or if you want to get to the highest levels or have the reach maybe the best results that you possibly can within the next, maybe you even make a 1 year plan, or maybe you say, you know what, for this year, I'm just going to make a schedule, and I'm going to be doing approaches when I go from one job to the other. Maybe you set aside at least 1 or 2 days where you can go out for like a 2-hour session, maybe one time in the day, maybe one time at night, because I think that like, nighttime offers a lot of other challenges that are going to help you to even just get a shit ton more reference experiences in a shorter period of time. Ultimately, if wherever you can go where you can just talk to a lot of people, like that's what this basically comes down to. You just got to be talking to a lot of people, especially girls that you find attractive, as frequently as possible. And that's basically one way in which you're going to get maybe the kind of results that you want to have for yourself. Like if you want like rock star results, or you want to like look at this in a different way, like it's going to maybe require you to be going out for 4 hours a night all night long, and you don't go home until you fucking make something happen. And like that becomes your mentality. Like you develop that chip on your shoulder. Time is ticking. Maybe right now it is only just do an approach in the day on your lunch break or whatever. If you're thinking I want orgies, I want threesomes, I want to like fucking fuck the hottest chicks that I can find, it's like it's probably not going to happen just by doing one approach here, one approach there on your way to work and these things, which is an admirable thing to do. And I'm not hating on it. And I think that you need that. There's periods where maybe that's where you're at in life, and that's what you need to do. That's, and that's do whatever you can. But I'm saying if you're looking for orgies and fucking porn star sex and like this kind of stuff, like you want to strive for something like that, you better be getting out at nighttime. You better be doing mass amounts of approaches and fucking hustling your ass off, because that's what this takes. Like any other pursuit. Whether you want to be a professional basketball player or anything, it's like it takes mass amounts of time and effort and dedicated practice and consistency. It's not just going to happen from, just go out now today, I'll just go out now tomorrow. And that doesn't just apply to dating though. That's why it's like the dating life is a reflection on your life in general. How disciplined are you outside of your life with your work? How much effort do you put into all aspects of your life? Because it's probably a reflection of the amount of how dedicated or disciplined you are in your life in general, right? Because again, this requires you to manage your time, manage your schedule, maybe delayed gratification. These are things that are going to optimize your potential result. If you're just happy with like, yeah, I'll just do the approach here and there, like that's all you're going to get. You need to get to a point where you're like, no, fuck that. I want this shit. And then you enjoy every single day and you enjoy the journey, but you also have a fire under your ass and a sense of urgency. That was the word that I was looking for, where you're like, I don't have all life to maybe have the experiences that I want to have. And you get your ass out there and you start putting the work in now. What can I do? What can I accomplish? Be honest with yourself. If I'm not putting in what I know to be the requisite actions that are going to get me the result, and instead I choose to stay at home and watch TV and get on my phone and just watch porn, jack off, smoke weed, it's like I don't get to do everything. I'm going to admit that to myself, and I'm going to say, you know what? Yes, I could be doing more, and I'm not going to say I can't do this because of XYZ. I'm going to say, you know what, I could be doing more. My results are basically I got what I got coming to me, and that's going to be my attitude. Because at least then, if I do want to change things, I know that I am capable of doing so because I focus on my actions and I'm honest with myself, and I'm not rationalizing or trying to, or having cognitive dissonance trying to make myself feel better for where I'm at in life. Rather than being like, you know what? No, I could be doing more. I'm not doing enough. I'm not being honest with myself. My goals aren't clear. I don't have no things in detail as to what I'm doing and why I'm doing it and what I'm striving for. It's like we can all do more. It's basically a life of just like trying to constantly improve. It never ends. But you can have like really fucking cool results, and at some point maybe you do decide to get married or whatever, and then you give it up. But maybe for a year or 2 years even, you say, hey, I'm going to dedicate myself to this pursuit for the next year or 2 years, and I'm going to be as disciplined as I can. I'm going to focus on my time management. I'm going to look at my schedule. I'm going to make sure I'm going out consistently, even if that means I have to go out by myself. No excuses. But that's the challenge, man. That is the challenge, is like, how consistent can you be? How long can you sustain success? Because even when you get to where you want to go, it's like you don't just get to stay there. You got to keep putting in the work to even stay at that level. The rejection never ends. Every single day is a new day. The approach anxiety never goes away. You just have to keep stepping up on a regular basis and doing the thing. You got to keep taking the rejections. You got to keep pushing yourself. And that's bringing it back to what you were saying earlier, where it's like, yeah, I'm not going in trying to act confident. I'm going to go in and I'm going to give myself credit, and I'm going to be stoked on myself that I felt anxiety, and maybe I'm not even paying attention to my body language, but maybe internally I feel anxious, I feel shy, I feel worried, I feel scared, I feel embarrassed, I feel rejected, whatever, but I do it anyways. And then instead of running from those emotions, once I've done the approach, maybe I just stand there for a second and I just soak myself in those emotions, just allow myself to feel whatever I'm feeling. That's the growth. And then I accept it. I allow myself to be whatever I feel, however I was out externally, whether I looked this way or that way. And then it's like, hey, fuck yeah, I did it though. I did the approach. And when you do that, that's where the change happens. The change comes through your actions. So then after that approach, you go, all right, sick, on to the next one. That's the skill. Those feelings never go away. But I think you gain more confidence, and you do start to internalize new beliefs, where you do start to realize that, like, oh shit, like it actually gives you a lot of confidence to realize that, like, no, I'm not at the mercy of social conditioning. I'm not at the mercy of other people's opinion, and that they're telling me that I'm not tall enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not young enough, I'm not this enough. There's always something. And then you get to a point where you're like, no shit, holy shit, like I actually do have control of over my reality, because you start to get results, which then emboldens you and builds more confidence. So then then next time you're like, oh shit, one time I actually talked to a girl when I was anxious and scared and had all these limiting beliefs, and I still got the result. Like, that might happen eventually. And then you're even more confident when you feel that way again, but you do the action anyways. That's, at the end of the day, that is the skill. It's like, no matter what I feel, no matter what I'm thinking, this and that, I just go and I do the approach. And then again, you're always iterating, you're putting in more, you're analyzing what you could have done better and these kinds of things. Ultimately, you just go up and you take the action. That's where the growth comes. That's where the skill is developed, through actually doing, not thinking you need to put on a mask or pretend to be a certain way. No, you actually become that way. You build the skill set of communication and calibration, all these things. You actually are learning a real skill set. You are developing real qualities and characteristics that you're changing as a person. Don't overthink it, and allow yourself to be maybe have bad body language, whatever that is, like whether that's like you look shy or unconfident. Be unconfident. You just say, you know what? I'm feeling unconfident. Fuck it. I'm going in unconfident. And then that becomes confidence. Even at the highest level, Even when you like a Michael Jordan or a Kobe Bryant, you're still gonna miss. You're still gonna have bad days. You're still gonna feel like shit. You're still gonna fail. You're gonna lose games. It never fucking stops because you're always pushing yourself. You're always looking to challenge yourself, and you're looking for that other level, that next level. So that the challenges are never gonna go away. But you're gonna have an amazing time. You're gonna have a lot of fun experiences in these things. But that's how we are. We're never satisfied as a human, and whenever we reach that goal, we're looking for the next goal. So it's like there's gonna be days when you've been doing this for like myself, like for 13 years, and I still get approach anxiety and I still get limiting beliefs and I still get fear and worries, but I've learned to just fucking do it anyways because I've built up a real confidence through achieving and building this skill set and looking at it like a skill set and understanding that it is a skill set and this isn't something that's just naturally given to people. It's like, no, you have to take action. That's how you get better at this. But the thing is, externally, someone might look at that and be like, oh, that guy's so confident. Oh, he's got the results because he's good looking, or he has the money and he has this and he has the that. But what you realize when you do understand this, that it's like, no, that's what your perception is. This guy had to put in maybe a decade on the back end to even acquire those external material items that you're judging him on. You're the average of the 5 people you hang around with the most, right? So, you know, when you're subjected, if you're being around other people that think that this is weird in these things, or that this isn't something that can be done, you know, or they maybe they're, again, belief systems, right? That's coming back to like your internal, like everything starts in the head. What separates one person from another is just what they believe to be true about the world. And that comes back to self-fulfilling prophecies and the ideas of, you know, you create the reality in which you believe, not like that's objectively accurate necessarily, because you can find examples of anything in this world. So if you're like, yeah, it's creepy, and then there's like also the projections. Again, it's like, what are the influences in your life? What are your friends saying? What's the TV saying? What's the media saying? What's the advertisements saying? And if you're not aware of these things, like, because I wasn't aware of all this stuff until I was like 25. That's when I even discovered this community myself and started getting in more into self-development and reading and valuing education, and like really just getting on that part of my journey for myself. It's like, you know, before that, I was totally unconscious about like what were my belief systems, how do I view the world? Like I didn't consider these things, and when you're not aware of these things, then you're being influenced in ways that you're not even aware of. In that sense, then you're kind of just like at the effect of life. So it's like understanding that you can take proactive. That's where you're getting out of that victim mentality, and you're like, I now am responsible for my life. You just say it to yourself. You're like, I take full responsibility for my life. It's my responsibility. What I listen to, what I feed my mind, what do I feed my body, what actions do I take on a regular basis. And if I choose to sleep in, if I choose to watch TV all day or this or that, I'm consciously aware of this now. I'm conscious of how I'm living my life, and I don't make excuses. I don't say, oh, I'm not good with women because I'm not good looking enough. Yet I don't go out and even talk to girls, and I stay at home and I eat shit foods and I'm overweight, but yet I want to say that I'm not capable of achieving this thing. And that's how people behave when they don't realize even these what can be profound beliefs and ways of thinking that in some ways you would think are almost just intuitive or just common sense, but they're not. Like, all this stuff was very profound for me when I first started learning it. That's what can separate the guy that gets the results from the guy that doesn't, right? You're taking proactive control over all areas of your life. You understand now that it's no longer anybody else's responsibility, it's my responsibility. So if I'm going to allow negative people around me, I understand that I'm allowing that to happen, because I don't need to put myself around people that aren't good for me in my life. It's a choice. And now I can actually proactively look for the types of friends that I want to have. I can choose who I want to be my friend. I can choose the kind of life that I want to live. It's up to you. You're no longer saying, it's not my fault. What can I do to potentially improve my circumstances? And getting clarity on like, what kind of friends do I want to have? And it's also, they say you attract what you are, not what you want. So what kind of person am I? What kind of friend do I want to be? because you're likely to attract the type of person that you yourself are into your life. And ultimately, the only thing you can control is yourself. The only constant in life is yourself. Bringing it back to going out to bars, going out to clubs, talking to girls, whatever. It's like, this is a chaotic environment, but can I make the approach? Can I make my intent known? Can I move things forward? Can I try to make something happen? You don't have control whether somebody else wants to reciprocate, but you have full control over whether you try to make it happen. Developing self-control is an accomplishment, right? So you can say, I have full control over myself, but it's like, do you really? When I say I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m., do I? When I say I'm going to, manage my time and I'm going to be going out 3 times a week, do I follow through? Am I actually keeping promises to myself? Am I actually in control of myself? And you might find that you might not be. So then that's something to cultivate. That's the inner game side where we're constantly looking at these areas that we can develop within ourselves. But then it's also about the external actions that you're taking as well, the material side of things. It's not magic. The person that you're looking at that maybe is a celebrity or something like that, they didn't get there just because they were born and in that position. They had to work hard to get to that position. They might have had to suck a lot of dick to get in that position. They might have had to do a lot of things that you don't know to get themselves into that position. That's the reality. The reality isn't magic pills. The reality is hard work and dedication. However much effort you're willing to put into this shit is what you're likely to see in return. But then as well as understanding that there's no guarantees. And that's where like gratitude and appreciating the process and cultivating a process that you can enjoy for the process itself, and then having that mindset of like letting the results come as they will. But then you're also have that killer instinct and you're proactive in doing everything that you possibly can and being determined and persistent in getting the result that you want. But then paradoxically, free from outcome, not needing it to work, filling your own cup, managing all aspects of your life so you're not needy or dependent on somebody else to give you something. Like, oh, I need you. Will you give me your energy? Will you give me the sex? It's like, no, I handle that shit myself. I don't need sex. I'm a Buddhist monk. I don't need it. I practice meditation. I don't like whatever you got to do. Like you got to fill your own cup. Now you're able to come to that person in abundance and not needing a thing from them. Now all of a sudden you're qualifying them. Now all of a sudden you're willing to walk away and not needing it to work. But then paradoxically, that's what's more likely to get you the result. It's a mind fuck. But at the end of the day, whatever you're feeling, even if you are needy, fuck it, I'm going in needy. Hey, what's up? How are you doing? Want to go on a date with me? I'm going to be needy because that is still more likely to get me the result than thinking I need to like be this like perfect human being and work on all these areas of my life before I can get the result. No, man, you can get a result at any point in your life. Not just being okay with good enough. Like you said, do you walk up and you say, okay, well, have a nice day, but the girl actually liked you? It's like, no, you're trying to make it happen and you're taking a man's rejection and then you're on to the next one. That's the skill set. Watch this shit, and you go in there and it's not a big deal. You're willing to experiment. You're willing to fuck around. You're learning how to self-amuse. You're willing how to just express yourself and be uninhibited. That in itself is like, can feel so good when you go out. You might not even get a result, but just the fact that you're out socializing and like getting out of your comfort zone and being willing to express yourself freely without feeling inhibited or worried about the opinions of others, that in itself can feel so good and is probably just good for your overall health in general. Like you just appreciate wherever you're at. Even just talking to a hot chick is like, that's rewarding in itself. The fact that you did that, the fact that you went up and you actually did that. You got to just give yourself credit for the small wins and build off that and be realistic with yourself and understand, hey, if I've never even talked to a girl, then me just talking to a girl is a win. It's not, did I have sex with that girl as a win? It's, did I just even talk to her when I've never even talked to a girl or done one cold approach? Then the fact that I cold approach is a win. Okay, well now what's the next step? What's the next step? What's the next level? At the most basic level, open, move it forward, close. Fill in the blank, however, which way you want, right? But then how that might look like is like, you go in, self-amuse, talk, make statements, don't ask questions, Wait till she starts asking questions, whatever. Move it forward, tease, make it man to woman, make a statement of intent. Then if she's okay with that, she doesn't excuse herself, suggest baby stepping it and suggest going on an Insta date, or maybe even try to pull her back to your place, or maybe just go for a phone number because you figure the logistics aren't that great, and then you're on to the next one. And that's what the process could look like. And then now you just keep doing that for like 4 or 5 hours in a night, or just don't stop until fucking you decide you're tired and you want to go home. If you just kept following that process, that basic process in itself, you're likely to eventually get a result. On top of that, if you want to work on your fashion and you want to work on your fitness and all these things, fucking go for it, because it's not a bad thing. But don't think don't compensate with that, thinking that that's going to get you the girl. No, it's about building your character and being able to go cold approach and talk to chicks and keep handling rejection. That is the skill. If you want to do that for the sake in of itself, like, that's fucking, why not, man? Like, I have many passions that I like martial arts. I like to, read books. I like to, play video games, whatever it is. Like, you can have your passions and things that you're interested in. You should. But then don't think that those things are what's going to get you the girl. The way you get a girl is you have to go up and be able to talk to her and put yourself out there and do that. And again, we're talking about rock star results here. We're talking about someone that wants to get the best and like craziest results that they can get. It's like, that means you're going out and you're fucking hammering and you're approaching and you're learning how to take rejection, handle your own emotional state, keep yourself in a positive mood, on to the next one. And you're doing that for maybe 5 hours in a night. And you're doing that maybe 3 times a week, or maybe you're even getting to a point where you build a business and then you're able to do this on a regular basis. The more the better. The more the better, because the more likely you're going to make something happen. Or maybe there's many ways that you could approach it. You could become a club promoter. You can open up your own club. You could start doing festivals. There's many ways to meet people, right? But the one thing is that doesn't change is that how to learn how to get better with talking to hot girls. Talk to hot girls. How to have sex with hot girls. Talk to hot girls and move it forward and try to have sex with them. That's how you get better at it. It's like, you can just rely on, like, I'm just going to get really muscular and I'm going to do this and that. And like, maybe that would work, but now you're kind of like putting the control into somebody else's hands. Where you can literally walk out of your front door right now and get a result right now at this time in your life, wherever you're at. It's a possibility, but it requires you to have to, first of all, believe that that's true, and then for you to leave your house and actually just keep fucking taking action, and then knowing that you have to move it forward and go for some sort of a close to make it happen, right? So you have, now that you have a structure, you have an idea of what that's going to take, right? And then you can break it down into an even more detailed, like, okay, what does me qualifying her look like? Oh, so what do you like to do? Oh, that's cool. And you're like, there's actual ways that you would perform these different ideas and concepts and theories and these things. And again, as a supplementary resource to look into evolutionary psychology and human nature and all these things, and like the concepts and the theories and all these things that exist out there, those are great and can be helpful, but it doesn't replace getting your ass out there and having to crawl through the trenches, having to walk through the fire and get burnt on a regular basis. The work and the exercise never stops, which means you're approaching all the time. It just becomes a regular part of your life. When you see hot girl, you approach hot girl. Then you're out at bars and clubs, or you're out in daytime venues, and you're putting in concerted amounts of effort into this, where you're just mass approaching and trying to make that shit happen. That's what this shit is at like the highest levels. When someone that wants to be serious about this shit, not someone that's just trying to, like, maybe get a date or something like this or whatever. Someone that wants to, like, have fucking crazy ass experiences, right? That maybe they watching a porno or something, or maybe you even start making porno. The sky's the limit, bro. But you got to decide what outcomes you're looking to get and get clarity on that, and then make an action plan in how that's going to happen. And then you just, like they say, trust in the process, because that's all you're entitled to, and let the results come as they will. But they are likely to come if you're taking the requisite actions. You have to decide the outcomes you want, and then how much you're willing to commit in these things. Because, like, again, if you're waiting for weather to get better, like, that's fine. But, like, understand that the way you get better at something, you need to be making time to do the thing on a regular basis, or else you're going to lose the skill. That's how it works. The more you, like a Gordon Ryan, who's like considered one of the best Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioners, he's said to have been practicing like 7 days a week, 365 days a year for like over a decade. That's what it takes to reach the highest levels. Depending on the results you want, you need to be making a concerted effort to schedule this shit in on a regular basis, even if it's one time a week, so that you're putting in the actual actions that are going to build the skill or get the result. If you want to say, you know what, when the weather is good, then I'll go out, or you know what, when you're not really like making a concerted effort to do it, that's fine. But then understand the results that you're getting are predicated on the actions that you're taking. And you probably have to take a fuck ton of action, more so than you might think, to get just a fraction of the results that you're looking to get. You're not going out enough. You're not going out consistently. You're not really putting in the efforts necessary, perhaps, to get the result you want. However, you might be. The way that you're doing it right now might be just you're happy with what you're doing, and that's fine too. But that's why you need to get clarity on what it is you want and what the outcomes are that you want to get.